Welcome, D. Can you identify yourself? D went away.
All right, if we want to get started, my name is Daron. My call sign is K1DBC. You do not need to be a ham radio operator to be here. This is an Elmer session for the Denver Radio Club. Denver Radio Club. So it's a general Q&A, and because we're doing it online, you definitely don't need to be a ham radio operator. We have a learning net that takes place every other Wednesday, except for this Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. on the air, and you can also listen to that. But more than welcome to participate in here. So again, everyone is welcome to chime in if you have any comments, questions, anything about ham radio. I'm going to be presenting my screen, as you can see, if you see it. If not, in the Google Meet presentation, if you go to the three dots at the bottom right corner and then select Change Layout, you'll have an option to change it to Spotlight, and that will maximize the screen that I'm sharing, or the screen that whoever's presenting at the moment. So with that, this takes place, this is an hour-long meeting or so, about 5 or so, 10 minutes at the end for a little bit of break. And then at 7 p.m., we'll have our presentation with Bob Witt, K0NR. So we have plenty of time this evening. Anyone have any comments, questions, anything you'd like to bring up this evening? Please let us know. You can do it via audio if you'd like, or via chat. Either is fine. I guess I can get things started going here. Last learning nets. These are kind of the things we were speaking about. Just some questions about counterpoise, portable vertical, hearing odd noises, talking about WinLink. These are recorded, so if you ever have any want or interest in that, you can go back and watch the learning nets as they've taken place, and anything we've talked about. Every time I try to bring this up, it never comes up here. But it's Sammy Chemco. Let's see what else. Yeah, there was an informal fox hunt that happened over the weekend. I don't know if anybody took place in that. All right. Let's see here. So yeah, this is just again just a very informal session. If you have any comments, questions about ham radio, electronics, anything related to ham radio or anything, let us know.
Well, I got a ham operator. This is Tom Bloom, KE0OJI.
Yeah, hey Tom, what's going on?
New to this.
Gotcha. Yeah, what?
I got all sorts of dumb questions here. What are the advantages or disadvantages as a first radio using a mobile unit versus a handheld?
There was a lot of typos there. So it's, I mean, as you can tell, the handheld is something you would hold in your hand, and an HT, typical Bofang or something like this. Whereas a mobile would be something you would stick in your car, and it's not. I mean, it is portable, but it's really more put in place. So I mean, advantages are. I mean, there's just different features of that. I mean, the mobile has a lot of these have 50 watts to 100 watts, whereas the handhelds just have about 5 watts or so. That's the main difference. A lot of them.
And Doron, if I can weigh in.
Go ahead, please.
And with a mobile, generally you're going to have your antenna on the roof or on the trunk, and you're going to have a much better ground plane, so your signal is going to be much better than from just a handheld. You won't have the shielding of your body, et cetera, et cetera. It's a much better platform for operation. You know, you can, if you have the ability to dual band repeat, you could actually use your handheld through the mobile to get better range. So there's a lot of advantages to operating mobile versus handheld. Go ahead, Daron.
Yeah, great points there. Absolutely. Yeah. Having the antenna outside of your vehicle helps tremendously for propagation of the signals for reception and transmitting. And what was that last point that you had made there, Jeff? Sorry.
Well, and I'll also mention, you know, even if you're using a handheld inside the vehicle,
Oh, yes.
if you have a mag mount that you know is on the hood or on the trunk, you'll have a much better signal with 5 watts on that handheld through that antenna than you would otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. Crossband repeat. That was what it was. Crossband repeat. You can get a radio that acts as kind of just the repeater that we have on the air that repeats between 145.490 and 448.625. It would act. You can operate very similar with a handheld. If you were parked your car up in the mountains, you could do that with a handheld. So yeah, those are some of the things that we have. If you have any other comments or anything on that, Tom or anyone else, go ahead.
Well, my other question is, if I use a mobile unit, say inside a travel trailer with power supply and external antenna, can I still utilize digital radio, Echo Link or whatever?
Yes, as long as that mobile radio is capable of some sort of Brandmeister or other System Fusion or something, and as long as you can connect to the any of our repeaters, digital repeaters, or anybody else's digital repeaters, they're all exactly the same. Yep.
Okay, that helps a lot. It sounds like that might be a little better place to start than with the handheld.
Yesterday, it was the computer.
Question.
Down the evolutionary ladder.
Yeah, go ahead with the question, Forrest.
This is what you have on the screen right now about your repeaters. Where can I find that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
if you go
Get
to
a
our,
large-
I will put it in the chat actually. That's
Get a larger what?
No, he's trying to get it larger to see.
if you see in the Hangouts Meet chat, there's a link for it. It's W0TX.org/repeaters .htm.
It's late. I could.
All right. Let me go.
So you're able to see that?
No, I haven't figured out how to do that yet. I'll have to do that later.
Oh, gotcha. If you go to our
Forrest
website.
oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Just go up to the top, Forrest, to the chat. See the chat box up there that has a little green dot next to it? Click that, and you can go in and click that link, and it'll take you there.
Oh, okay.
So you see it there now?
Well, I'm looking for the little green dot.
Or just the box up there that has a little, looks like a thought box with the 4 lines in it. There's 2 people.
Okay, over here. Okay.
Yeah, it says chat with everyone when you highlight over it, and then it may bring up a list of the attendees, and if it does that, you'll click there's a little chat icon in the middle, and once that's green, you should see some chat in there.
Okay, let me try that.
Otherwise, if you go to our website, which is our call sign, W0TX, there's a link in there to get to the repeaters as well. That's how what it is.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, plenty of information on the website, W0TX.org, about our club nets, when they take place, things people are selling, things like that. So if you're in the market to buy something, plenty of information on there. Okay. So yeah, Tom was, we were talking about HTs and mobiles, advantages and disadvantages. Yeah, you can get an HT for about, well, you can get a cheap HT for about $20 or to around $200, but a mobile rig will run you $100 to $300, $400, $800, depending on how many bands you want to use. So things like that. So You kind of just need to do a little bit of research. Okay.
I'll start looking at those mobile units a little more then.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay. What else here? Keep tabbing out of this.
Can you say that some of them have the feature of being a dual band repeater? Is that it?
Yeah,
Is that what I'm looking for?
crossband repeater. It looks like a
Crossband.
Yaesu, crossband repeater is the terminology would you want to use. And it looks like the different brands, ICOM, Malenko, Bofang, Anytone, they all have probably a model that has that functionality between different bands. Yep. Yeah, what else? I mean, nowadays you're getting into Bluetooth for audio, Bluetooth for programming. Some have that. These are kind of cutting edge features though. Programmability, ease of use, functionality is a big thing. So if it comes with software or the programming of it, that's a whole nother thing too. But it's just you just have to get into it, especially the digital ones. They get a little bit more complex. But there's a lot of resources online for all of these things. So, yeah. Anyone else?
Well, I think
Oh, go
that
ahead.
would probably work a little better for the type of traveling I typically do and everything. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And nothing has to be permanent. I mean, it doesn't have to be permanently installed in a mobile rig if you don't want to. I mean, but that's always how it's really kind of meant to be. But yep, however, whatever use cases you need, absolutely. Let's see what else here. Anyone else on that topic or anything else you'd like to bring up? Again, my name is Daron. This is not a net. You don't have to check in. You don't have to be a ham radio operator. This is all about just ham radio and electronics and anything you want to bring up. Any comments, questions? Go ahead. I have up on the screen now a favorite blog of mine, Hackaday. Last month, let's go back 30 days ago when we had this meeting. We were talking about Arecibo, and since then, unfortunately, it has collapsed. Arecibo has unfortunately completely collapsed. It started with originally Hurricane Maria, and then a support cable, one of the support cables snapped. Not too long before our last meeting, and then a third support cable finally snapped, and then everything broke away. And so at this point, it's unfortunately all fallen. And I think it was recently correlated to an earthquake, I believe. But just has some drone footage up here. So sad to see. But China has a freestanding, a singular radio telescope. They're the largest. I think it's called FAST, or I think. So that's the existing one. Let's see what else here. Anyone else? Otherwise, I can just keep bringing up things that have come up. Let's see what else. Pretty neat thing here. There's an industrial engineering student who is challenging themselves to make a new PCB every week, Jim Heaney. And he has a website, if you go to in a Kickstarter, that you can buy some of his projects. But he is just just kicking butt on this. I mean, it's pretty amazing. He's sending out for these PCB layouts. He's not designing them, or he's not milling them in-house, but he is designing the schematics and then sending them out. And these are very simple kits. And then he, in a Kickstarter, put out one of them, a voltmeter. I don't know if you can purchase that still, but pretty neat what you can do.
Can you put that link in the chat?
Yeah. So yeah, I put in the chat link to the Kickstarter page. It's not sure if it's open still. I can't really tell at the moment. I was able to purchase one. I think he's going to be putting them more in kit form and selling them on a store online. But yeah, I think you may need to log in to be able to purchase it. But yeah, these are just very simple kits. Micro Center has some things like this that you can buy locally, not as complex as this, but they're a lot more simple. But if you have any interest in soldering, I would definitely suggest soldering kits. You know, around the holiday times especially, there's been these Christmas tree soldering kits that have been around for years. It's basically just a PCB board and a bunch of LEDs. It's not overly complex, but it's it just gets you into soldering, and it's just kids, anybody. So if you have any interest in soldering, I would definitely highly recommend just kind of getting into these kind of basic kits, just a basic soldering kit, and that might get you a little bit more used to it. Let me put this one in the chat too. So again, anyone have any other comments, questions, anything you'd like to bring up? Anything you've been working on? Any ham radio, electronics, anything Aries stuff related? Anything? Let us know.
This is Forrest again.
Go ahead.
I'm looking to find a switch where you have one mic in with 6 outputs, because I'm trying to consolidate my radios into one mic. And I'm using IL 781, and I would like to put that into about 5 different radios, but then I can just switch which radio I want to talk to on. Does anybody have any idea about that?
781, is that an XLR microphone?
Yes, it is.
Okay. XLR I haven't gotten much into, but that is high quality audio. You may need to get an actual mixer, potentially. Behringer, maybe. And then all your outputs, are they going to be just analog 3.5mm, or what are you looking there?
Well, they're going to ICOM, and they're the 8-pin round, except for my 991, and that's an 8-pin modular.
There was, let me see here. That's definitely on the edge of things. There was something I had found. Anyone have any input on that? I'll try to dig up a link I had found recently. Anybody know about using XLR microphones and ham radios, and specifically getting several outputs from one input?
Boy, I'm thinking you'd have to custom build something. I don't know that, if you look at some of the musical instrument companies might have XLR switch boxes, but I'm sure they're not going to have outputs to your radio inputs.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. You'll definitely have to custom build some cabling, it looks like, because we're not using like MIDI or standardized things.
And XLR is balanced, generally going to unbalanced for the.
That's right.
For the
Okay.
radio.
Oh, man.
Go ahead.
Hi, E0RVZ. I think you could probably find in the audio section for bands and musics and stuff, plenty of like mixers that will run that type of stuff to switch between it. The problem is you're going to have different outputs at various sound levels or type of things to match up to those various radios. So you're going to need to have something in there that not only switches the physical wiring, but something to adjust for each channel to get your audio set up correct.
You know what I'd do is I'd contact Heil directly and see if they know of anything. Those guys are incredible resources.
That is a good point. You'd imagine with Bob Heil being kind of the face of ham radio, there'd be maybe some interface or some availability for a product like that, or something. I'm not sure.
Well, thanks for that information. I appreciate that. And I will definitely get a hold of him.
Yeah. I know that if you're talking about, well, if, like in the signal link, USB signal link world, and I know that is not good audio really for analog audio, but they have a way of changing between radio types. But I guess it is not, yeah, you still have to build different physical cabling and things like that. So, yeah, maybe Bob Heil Sound would have something, yeah.
Well, I figured I'd have to do the cabling. That I knew.
Okay.
Because each one's a little bit different. But I was just wondering about if anybody knew anywhere we could get something like that. Or find something. So a mixer, I guess, sounds good if it has the outputs. I don't know. I've never worked with a mixer, so I have no idea.
Well, on a mixer, that's multiple inputs with a maybe one or two outputs. So generally a mixer wouldn't work for you. You're going to need to find a audio switcher of some type that can also handle different impedances. There's a bunch of them out there that you could look up. There you go.
Forrest, I dropped email address and phone number for Heil in the chat.
Okay. How do I get to chat?
Okay.
On my screen, all the way at the top on the right side, you'll see a box. There's like two people and then a box next to it. That's the chat box. Click that.
Oh, okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. That's cool.
Perfect.
This is the first time I've used this, so if you bear with me, I have all kinds of dumb questions about this and everything.
Yeah, there you go. Audio switchers. They're generally pretty inexpensive, and as long as you want to just do one for one, if you want to do multiple outputs, that's where it gets kind of expensive.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just have to get that and just duplicate it 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, I'm sure there's bigger ones too, and
Yeah, they have them up to like 24 ports.
I don't think I have that many radios.
Not yet.
One quick comment.
please go ahead.
Looking at those mixers and such to it, so I work in that field. If you take the main mic you want to and have a mixer that has a queuing mic on it, then it will go out to various channels, so you can have multiple output channels. But you can also have the same benefit of being able to bring the audio back in from the radios, back them and bring them back into the sliders there to do it and send it back out again. So you could balance the volumes from all your radios, and that way you could very quickly reach over and turn one as worn up to hear that radio when you switch the mic to it, and then the other to mute the others down. It's a way of handling audio both in and out that works very well. Of course, it's a little higher end than just a simple switcher.
Well, that sounds cool. That's great. Well, with what I've got here, the higher end outfit would fit right in, but I'm just tired of these mics hanging all over the place, so I just wanted to consolidate it and kind of clean the workbench up a little bit.
Well, I know that feeling, because if by the time you get to where you hang half a dozen hand mics, or worse yet, where you afford expensive desk mics, and how do you get room for all of them there and then still have any place to write down anything? It would be better to get it that way. I see other people that sit and hang the mics from a boom arm and such like that to get a place to get them away from the desktop itself, so you could still work with it.
Just be sure to hang on to them for when that main mic or that mixer fails.
True, true.
And definitely mark them which goes to which radio.
Well, good shot. Yeah, this is stuff that even like YouTubers, Twitch streamers deal with this stuff. That's the only reason I don't even know about this kind of stuff in XLR is because of just people kind of mentioning it and getting good clean audio and feeding it in places. And yeah, that's very cool stuff. I don't have a very good setup myself. Just a USB microphone seems to do, but that's just for the computer. But for the microphone for radio, it's just I use the radio mic itself. But this is cool stuff. Yeah.
Tell the truth, Forrest. You're wanting to do TikTok, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never even seen it or even tried it. So I'm kind of slow on the uptake on stuff of this new stuff like that.
And this one product I was showing up here, VB Audio Cable, they have a free product. At least one that I've used is Voice Meter, where so this is moving away from at least your physical many microphone inputs. Well, this can consolidate stuff and put things pipe audio over your network, and so getting into a virtual mixer world too. That's another option. Things to look into as well.
It sounds cool.
Yeah.
Now, one other thing you might consider is look at Motorola and the other commercial radios and their sites and stuff, because like if you think back to it, when we have a comm center, the dispatcher there basically has one mic. They're pushing that into multiple radios.
That's right, for the different services that they have to talk to.
Yeah, that is a good point. I'm sure there's probably at least some professional options out there. Maybe not some amateur cost options, but maybe in the future there might be an option or solution. But there might be something out there for sure. Actually, yeah. Well, very neat. Good conversation. Audio inputs. That's a big part of the hobby. Getting a good audio input feed from your microphone to your antenna to everything. It's all very important. Very cool.
Well, when I get it all set up, I will show everybody what I did to get it going.
That'd be great. Please.
One last comment on it. If you run through mixers and such, a lot of the times they will set and have not only equalization, but they can run compression circuits in there too, so you can clip and compress and such and get that full audio out, rather than running 5% to 60%. You can push it up to where you've got a full 80% or better modulation without overmodding, and that gives you a pretty dynamic signal when you're trying to punch through.
That's cool. That's something I need on Fusion, because Fusion is awful soft on the audio.
Well, this is something that came about because of the new digital age when they came in. The old analog mixers and stuff were always a problem because you had sliders that were actual, potentiometers in there that the signal went through. The new digitals now actually use a control voltage that varies to set and drive circuits up that do the amplifying and shaping and such. So no longer do you have the crackling of the slider or such when you move it up and down if it's gotten dust in it or something like that. It's just a pure electronic and it's very clean. That also lets them do multiple layers and multiple outputs and all kinds of interesting things to it. So what we only dreamed of in the past is now a reality today.
That is cool. Very cool.
I dropped a link in there for Planet Headset Forest. You might find they have some kind of fusion boxes that are used in the dispatch setting for phone and
Oh, okay. Thank
radio.
you.
Okay, very neat.
And when you think public safety communications, think expensive.
Exactly, yeah. All right, anyone else on that topic of microphones, audio mixers, XLR, compression, or just audio in general? Let us know. All right, anyone else on anything else? We got plenty of time here still. Again, my name is Daron. This is the Denver Radio Club Elmer session. You don't need to be a ham radio operator. You don't need to be licensed. Everyone is welcome. There's no check-ins. If anybody has any questions, comments about ham radio, electronics, anything in general, let us know.
Comment.
Go ahead.
Back to that audio business to it. We do try to modify things to on CW to get a clean signal to it. We try to modify the audios to do it. But that's one thing the new electronics will do to it coming through these various ones is they can set and compress down so that you pull off the lows and pull off and cut out the highs or such to it. Well, this gets interesting when you're hard of hearing because us guys set and lose the high frequency end of our hearing to it. And if it slides down far enough, now we're having trouble trying to understand words because the constants are what are in the high frequency range. The vowels and such are all down lower. That being said, if you can increase your high frequency range and boost it somehow to it, then you're going to retain more of those constants so you can understand the speech better. So running that audio back through some type of an equalizer or pushing board to it will definitely improve your hearability of what you've got going on out there on some of these things to it. And if you also look in the recording industry, there are circuits out there that are called click circuits or anti-click circuits, and they're designed to minimize pops and such to it, to smooth them out so that you don't break up, they don't show up so much in the audio stream. So running those will also set into it. So these are neat little products that, and projects that you can do, find out there to set and put these on your speaker circuit coming back to you to set and help your hearability anyway on some of these, especially when you get into some of the, non-repeater stuff and such that can have a lot of other things other than a clean repeater output.
Yeah, absolutely. Good points. Good points there. All right, anyone else on that? Let us know. All right. Anyone have any other comments, questions, anything you'd like to bring up for the for our Elmer session this evening? Let us know. Let's see here. We've talked about Arduinos in the past, and a little bit past an Arduino is an FPGA, which is a field programmable gate array, and it's a much more embedded device. Well, it can be anything, any sort of electronic circuit, I believe, really is how it can act. And then I got to thinking, I've heard of the term ASIC, and I just got to thinking, what's the difference between an ASIC and an FPGA? And they're basically the same, but an ASIC is really suited for high volume, and it can't be rewritten. It's permanent, where an FPGA can be rewritten. So that was from there was an article on Hackaday. I'd have to bring it up, but there is oh, that's not the right one. You can actually buy ASICs for pretty cheap nowadays, and I was able to buy one, so let me try to find that here. Or I'm sorry, an FPGA. They're actually from old crypto mining boards. So So if you're not aware of the AliExpress website, they're similar to the Alibaba website. It's the same company, but it's products you can actually purchase. And so I bought an under $20 FPGA, which is an Atmel based controller that you can get Linux up and running, I believe. So, or not Atmel, but it's just a pretty interesting product. So if you have any interest in development boards, things like that, I'd look up the Xilinx development board if you want to get into FPGA development.
Yeah, this is Brian, KE0WHU. I was just going to ask a question. I've kind of been out of the loop for a while, but are people using Linux quite a bit in the community?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of that falls under the Raspberry Pi category. I think a lot of the Linux usage probably falls under there, but I think a lot of people still use. I guess you would. I was going to call it full desktop OS, but that's really what a Raspberry Pi is. But like more on a laptop. I'm not too sure how many people are using Ubuntu or anything on that. Maybe a lot of people are, but I know that a lot of the APRS. There's a lot of APRS stuff done on Linux still. So if you want to do any packet radio or tracking things like that, there's still a lot of things on Linux. So yeah, what in particular were you looking to do?
Well, again, I've been out of the loop for a while as far as radio goes,
sure.
but I've been reading about the Raspberry Pi 4 with, I guess it's got a 32-bit system on that now. And it looks like just something that would be fun to run Linux application on, like Ubuntu, like you said. I just wondered where that is falling into the ham radio world. Sounds like something that might be a fun project for.
Yeah, there's good projects for a lot. Really easy to get into radio reception. You can buy nowadays. You can buy basically a digital receiver, like you used to be able to buy like a Radio Shack receiver or whatever back in the day. You can now buy a USB one, and it covers 5 hertz to 1 point something gigahertz. You can buy these for about $30 online, and then combining that with sorry, go ahead.
Software-defined radio.
Software-defined radio, yeah. Yep. So this is known as a software SDR, software-defined radio, is a terminology for this. And so you can find a bunch of them. One big one is rtl-sdr.com. They have a blog as well as a store. You can buy some products from on there. And then there's a bunch on Amazon and things like that. So yeah, you would combine that with a Raspberry Pi and internet, and then you could get remote access to the Raspberry Pi and do a whole bunch of digital mode. There's a lot of we've not moved away from, but like things like QPSK and FSK, things like that. There's now different modulation things and schemes like that. So at least on the reception side, it's very, very simple to get into. On the transmitting side, there are some projects out there. Let me bring it up. It's the MFJ 1234. At least you can purchase something that is very similar. It's the Raspberry Pi and Linux, and you can route into it, but you can actually transmit. It's a little bit pricey, and there are projects trying to emulate it with some basic equipment yourself. So I'd have to dig those up. So yep, Linux is very, very much widely used. Just eliminating larger desktop computers that people used to have and laptops, and now going into smaller form factors. So Raspberry Pi, if you haven't seen that, which is just a development board, you can go and buy it Micro Center or anywhere, and these are anywhere from $10 to $30. Yeah, as you were mentioning, you mentioned, yep, the 5.4 has a lot of RAM on it. So these are really good, powerful, just desktop computers nowadays. Yep.
So is there particular distros for those in Linux that are used just for this?
I would imagine so. I haven't used it myself. Let me see here.
Let me pop in. This is Larry, K0LEI.
The distros that are most used are either a Red Hat derivative or a Debian derivative, because they have the radio, the AX.25 protocols that are built into the um, distributions, and so therefore those have been the most popular because most people can just download them and install them. They don't have to do any type of compiling or from source code or anything like that.
Yeah, let me just look at the link I was just looking at here. I'd imagine there is a.
I was going to say the Debian includes Ubuntu and Raspberry Pi, and then the Red Hat includes Red Hat itself plus CentOS. So that's, and there's some other Red Hat derivatives as well. I think the Oracle's Linux is also Red Hat derived.
Great, and the code's already built in, huh? So you just have to get comfortable using the command line stuff with Linux, and off you go.
In some cases, yes. Other cases where it depends what you install. If you install like FL Digi, that's compiled for Linux, and so you can just, if it's an RPM for a Red Hat package manager type file, you just install it from the command line, or you can install it from the window interface. And on the Ubuntu side, I think you can do the same thing. There are command lines to do some of the installation as well. And it's not too hard. You can just, there's all kinds of YouTube videos out there, and I recommend that. There's so many YouTube videos on how to use Raspberry Pi and Linux in general for amateur radio. So somebody else has already, blazed the trail for you. You just have to go and check it out.
Thanks, guys.
I dropped a couple links in the chat with some resources there also for you.
Very cool.
Thanks.
Yep, plenty of things online. There's a lot of this has matured over the years. So yeah, just looking things up online and looking up for tutorials, you can definitely get into it. Not a problem. Okay, anyone else on the topic of Linux and ham radio? Go ahead. There was a show, or there is a show on Amazon Prime called James May's Toy Stories. James May from Top Gear, and there was a few episodes. He was kind of just talking about the toys of his childhood, but there was a couple of episodes where he did some weather balloons, and you could see some video of a laptop running Linux and running FL Digi, and it's not often you see something on broadcast television that shows ham radio and such good combinations of all the things too. So it was one of the I think Fight Club, and there was another one too. So that was just something I had recently seen on that too. Yep.
So we should have a moment of silence for Zen Magnets. After 8 years of litigation, they pulled the pin.
Isn't that the local? Weren't they a local company or something? I thought.
And I think the inventor was.
But yeah, there was some, because they're so small or something, there was some health risks or something. Was that what it was?
They were marketed to adults, but there were claims that they were hazards for children, and so the FDA intervened, and there was a bunch of litigation. And
that's right. Yeah, I had neodymium magnets. That's what they were. Yep. Yep.
yeah, the inventor's home was in Boulder.
That's right. Yeah. What else here? We got about 15 minutes left here, about maybe or 10 or so minutes. and then we'll maybe take a break. But anyone else have any other comments, questions, anything else you'd like to bring up? Ham radio related, anything else? I'm sure I could bring something up, I'm sure. At least within the last couple of weeks, I think they finally, I mean, more local news, they've finally stated that there was 100% containment on some of the larger fires. So thankfully with the weather and the snow, we're ramping down on wildfire season. So luckily, we're seeing that.
I want to make a comment, Doron. Earlier it was talked about problems with frequencies and hearing. I discovered something about a year and a half ago. I bought a pair of Bose hearphones, HEAR phones, and I have trouble with white noise deafness from being around heavy equipment in my youth. And so when I'm in a restaurant or somewhere, I have a lot of trouble hearing conversation because of white noise in the background. And boy, I bought these things and it was like a miracle. Suddenly I could put these things on when I sat down to a meal with my family or somebody and hear everything and be able to control it with an application on my phone. Apparently they've discontinued it now due to manufacturing problems in China, but they're claiming they're going to come out with a new super duper hearing system in 2021. So I'm looking forward to see what they do. I'm not someone that normally needs to wear hearing aids in normal environment, but in a noisy environment, I have issues.
What?
Yeah,
Or go ahead.
it does work well on hearing aids. Very close to it. Because I suffer the same thing. K's or RVZ. I have the high frequency loss severely to it. And an interesting thing about it, I run Unitron hearing aids, but when they were setting up this last bunch to it, they frequency shifted my high frequency sounds down to a lower frequency that I could hear, which I didn't notice. I still hear everything and it's spread out, it sounds like, to it. It's just that my ears are running on they've adapted and they're running on the lower half of the hearing. So you do hear and you get all that high frequency back. Well, it's kind of a new technology, but it is working incredibly well. I'd hope maybe we might be able to see that in headphones or things come about. It may actually be out there, so that might be something to look for.
Yeah,
One of the side benefits of this, if you want to call it that, is when they shifted it to it, they also shifted the wide range to it. So they shifted ultrasonic, the ultra high frequencies above our normal hearing. They shifted it down to a range where I can hear ultrasonic now, just faintly in the background, which is interesting because there's a lot of IR and different things around that I can now hear. So I got a pest repeller to go out in my garden to it that uses ultrasonic to drive the critters crazy and make them leave. And I can walk in a greenhouse and I'm hearing that sound of that little warbling and frequency shifting that it does to it. I can now hear it. Nobody else around me can hear it, of course. So sometimes you get some interesting things doing this frequency shifting, but overall it is I'm not sure that we couldn't do a simple circuit outside of a hearing aid thing. The technology is there apparently, and that might be something that we could all benefit from with headphones and such.
Wow, that's cool.
I'm glad I have my hearing. I guess we all should be glad for that. Go ahead.
Is that frequency shift only available with the particular brand of hearing aids that you were using?
Unknown, because I don't know about any other brands. Mine are the Unitrons, and I know they had that, and they just introduced that recently here. At the same time, we went up and put in lithium-ion batteries that are rechargeable in them, and a couple of other improvements they made that just came out in this last, I believe, year and a half. So it wasn't available in my older ones, but so I would think it's a fairly new development, and competition being what it is, I would imagine other companies are going to jump on something similar to that.
What's the name of the company that does this?
Unitron.
UNITRON?
Yeah.
Thank you.
and I don't know if it's allowed to put a plug in or exactly, but Mile High Hearing is the company that I go through with my to do all my hearing work and such to it. They're up here on like 200 South Union. So I've been more than impressed with them and with the products.
These are things I hadn't really thought of before.
Hey, Jeff, how do you change the name? I can't find it on this platform.
It's in your name on your.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a good question.
You used to be able to, at least with the, it was either one of these meetings or one of the other ones, when you weren't logged in, you were able to change it. But you can't, you have to be logged in now to Google. And so it just takes it from the name that you have in your Google profile. So you would have to change it.
Yeah, I know you can do that on Zoom, but I don't know if you can do it here.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
Yeah. All right, we have about 5 or 10 minutes left here. Anyone else? Anything we've discussed so far you want to bring up again, or bring up anything else, or anything else you want to bring up? Go ahead.
Well, there's all kinds of new controls in here that I haven't seen before.
Yeah, they're, I'm sure, trying to mirror and parody the other platforms and different feature sets. Let's see here. Another Netflix thing that I was watching recently that is quite neat. It's all animated. It's all CGI, but it looks. You'd have to go and watch it. It's on Netflix, called Love, Death, and Robots, and I mean some of it is pretty obvious that it's animated, but there is some very, very hyper realistic. There's a very there's a war one. This is just something that I've been watching recently, and I know it doesn't look too much on here, but it looks quite amazing. So Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix. These are about 10-minute episodes, and there's I'll have to try to bring up the one that I was looking at because it looks quite amazing. It's an episode called Secret War. It wouldn't do it justice viewing it on here. I think it is 4K, but it looks quite amazing, quite realistic. It's amazing what animation studios can really do nowadays, and it's definitely getting into the what is the terminology for when animation becomes real?
It's called dementia.
Yeah. Oh, what is it? I'll have to find it. Yeah.
Somebody put CGI in the chat. Is that what you're looking for?
No. Let's see here. It's just the concept of when animation becomes too real. Gosh.
Musk think.
Uncanny Valley.
Well, that's a new term.
Yeah, the Uncanny Valley. Let's bring it up here. It's quite an older term. What was that? Is a hypothesized resemblance to a human being and emotional reception. So people were talking about it with the AI movies back in the day and things that just look more increasingly real.
It was like with the CGI and the animation, they started adding seemingly hairs to
Yeah, yep. The physics engines and what we can mimic nowadays it's just amazing. Just with the computer technology, what we can simulate, it's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. All right, anyone else? Anything else? Just a quick last few minutes here. Otherwise, I might start to take a break here in just a moment.
Yeah, it's 1854. We ought to take a break and then start up at 1900.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Thank you all for being here for the Elmer session. Stick around for a few more minutes and we'll start our regular meeting. Having Fun with VHF, presented by Bob Witt, K0NR. So thank you all for being here. If you join us on any other given Wednesday, if you're looking at the screen now, if you bring up the net lists, I can never seem to find it for some reason. In this message thing sometimes, even though it's right in front of my face. Right, net list, Wednesday night nets, 1930, 730 on 145490. We disable the 100 hertz PL tone, but more info on that there. So thank you all for being here.